Hi guys, in this video I'm going to show you how to sew welt pockets. All of you should have a copy of the Moto Pants pattern, so I'm using that to demonstrate how to sew a welt pocket. But the technique is the same in a variety of other patterns. So you can also sew a welt pocket on the motorcycle jacket, on the Moto Pants for boys, the Moto Pants for BFC ink dolls. The Liberty Jane Capri pants have welt pockets on the front, as well as the Stratford coat. Once you learn how to sew a welt pocket and how it's constructed, it's super easy to add that design element to any pattern that you might already have. So if you have a basic blazer or jacket or shirt or even a pair of pants and you want to pop a welt pocket into it, you should be able to do that after watching this video. I'm going to show you, using some scraps of fabric, how to practice sewing a welt pocket before you really dive into putting that onto a garment that you're trying to sew. Practicing the technique on some scrap fabric will prevent you from wasting time sewing a garment and then getting to the step where you add the welt pocket and then you wreck what you're working on, and it'll save you a ton of time and frustration and really help you have a successful product when you're working on your actual garment. So let's jump on in and I'll show you how to practice at a larger scale the concept and technique of a welt pocket. To sew a welt pocket, you'll need the following supplies: the fabric or the pattern pieces cut out, a marking tool, and here we have a water erasable marker or just a fabric marking pencil, and this one's washable as well. And then you'll need a really good pair of really sharp small scissors. So these are 4-inch embroidery scissors, and I have these marked with nail polish so that I am super sure I'm never going to use these for anything else but trimming threads or cutting into the tiny little corners so that my ends right here stay super sharp. Now for this practice illustration, I have 2 pieces of scrap fabric. I have one piece that's cut 5 inches by 5 inches square, and then I have another piece that's cut 3 inches by 9 inches long. Now to make the sample welt pocket, I'm going to cut this one larger than the doll clothes size, which is a really narrow welt. This purple fabric is acting as my main fabric. So if I was doing this on a pair of pants, this would be the pants, and the green piece would be the welt pocket pattern piece or fabric. So I'm going to flip over this welt pocket piece, and on the wrong side, I'm going to draw on it my rectangle to create my welt pocket. So for this example, I'm going to measure 1 inch down from the top with my ruler, and I'm just going to draw a rectangle right here. So this one, I'm just going to do this about 1.5 inches wide. And then I'm going to bring it down 1/2 inch on both sides and draw a second line across the bottom at the 1.5 inches. Now I have my rectangle drawn on the wrong side of this fabric. And I apologize for this illustration. This is not perfectly centered, but for the practice, it's perfectly fine. Now I'm going to take this welt pocket piece and my square, and I'm just going to set them on top of each other, centering it on there and lining up the top edge. And then I'll just go ahead and pin these together. Now at this point, I can follow the instructions that are shown in the tutorial for the Moto Pants. We'll sew around the perimeter of this rectangle, being sure to turn the corners with the needle down and to go all the way around. And I like to start and stop either on the middle of a side or a little bit into the bottom. Don't start and stop at a corner. It's harder to get a clean turned edge when your corner has the back stitching. Then we'll go ahead and slit into the middle of this rectangle. Carefully, in a triangular diagonal fashion, you'll cut right into this point on each of the 4 points of the rectangle. This will allow for it to have a very nice clean edge. Then we'll turn the pocket right side out and fold up the welt portion on the inside and then create the pocket bag. If instead you wanted to do a double fold welt pocket, on the back side, this part that's folded up, instead of coming all the way to the top, would simply come halfway. So you'd have that come up about that far, like that, and then this piece on the top would have been cut longer so that you could do the same thing from the top side, folding it down and then back up. And then from the front side of the garment, you would have a double fold welt pocket. Then you would simply top stitch around the edges to hold those two folds in place, and that pocket bag would fold up to close the pocket. So once you sewed down these side seams and across the remaining seam allowance on the top, you would be able to stick things inside that pocket like that. Now that you've practiced sewing a welt pocket and you feel pretty confident with the technique, let's jump on in and I'm going to show you how to sew the welt pocket on the back of the Moto Pants pattern. So just remember, this is illustrated and shown on the Moto Pants, but this technique can be used on a variety of other patterns that have welt pocket design in them. Now you're going to take your welt pocket pattern piece and you're going to sew it to the back of the pants to make the welt pocket. So this piece we marked earlier. It's marked on the right side of the fabric and the wrong side of the fabric. Now you're going to take this piece, this is the right side, and we're going to lay it right side down on top of the back of the pants. Now this slanted cut line is going to line up with the top right here in the same direction. Now to match up these pieces, you'll notice we have the marking on the fabric for the welt pocket and the pants. So we're just going to carefully line those up. I would just fold this like this, set this on here so that the bottom is lined up and centered with the other pocket, and then just let it fold over. Pin the welt pocket to the pants back right along the marking edges. Then you're going to straight stitch right along this rectangular line. I have the pin in here just so you can see where the top of the rectangle begins. Now be sure when you're sewing that you have your needle set to finish in the down position so that when you get down to these corners, you can raise the presser foot and just turn the corner. Here we have the welt pocket sewn. You can see the rectangular stitching line all the way around. Now we're going to fold this in half. Use our small scissors and just cut right into the center of it. This will create a small opening within the stitched rectangle. So now I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut into here, right into the corners on a diagonal. Do not cut through the stitching line, so it goes like that. Then we'll cut in this direction in the same way, carefully right up to the corner without cutting through the stitching line. Then we'll turn it around and do the same thing in the other direction. So there we have the pocket clipped open, and it's clipped right into the corners and the extra threads have been trimmed off. Now we're going to take this whole piece and push it through the opening so that it's on the inside of the pants. So there it's pushed through the hole and you can see it on the inside. So what you'll do at this point is just flatten it out, and you can use your fingers to press the seams flat. The closer that you've clipped into the corners, the smoother this edge around the end of the rectangle will be. So you just smooth this out so that it's laying flat like this, and this is going to be your welt pocket opening. So then you'll go press this so that it's nice and square on the edges and flat along the top and the bottom. We have a nice rectangular opening. It's pressed on the inside and the front side. Be sure to keep the seam allowance pressed downward and fold up this inside piece just so it covers the opening from the inside. And when you turn that over, you can see that that is filling the hole. So this right here is going to create the welt pocket opening. Pin the welt pocket securely so you have the folded edge up inside the opening. This is what it looks like from the back. Then we're carefully going to stitch around all 4 sides of the rectangle, being sure not to catch the top of the fold right here with this top of the pocket edge. Here we have the welt pocket sewn. You can see it sewn around all 4 edges. I started just inside the corner so that it was easy to turn the final corner, and then that's where I did my back stitching. This is the front side, and this is the back side. So the pocket will still open, but when the pants are worn, that folded up section covers the opening. Now we're going to take the inside of the pocket and simply fold it up to line up with the top edge. Fold it so that it lines up with the top edge of the pocket. Then you're going to pin along the sides, being sure to pin only the pocket and not the back of the pants. So that's pinned and it's free from the pants. Here we have the top and the sides of the back pocket sewn from the inside. It's been straight stitched and then zigzagged around the edges to finish to prevent fraying. Alright guys, I hope you've enjoyed these tutorials, and I really want to see the practice work that you're doing. So go ahead and jump on over to the Facebook group and post those practice items. Ask questions. Have us help you. I really want to make sure that you guys have mastered this technique and you really feel confident that you can sew a welt pocket on any garment that you desire. Thanks guys.